All across the nation, the point-in-time count is a count of all sheltered and unsheltered people experiencing homelessness on a single night in January. Volunteers collect data through surveys that eventually determine how much funding counties will receive to provide support services to unhoused people. Good Thursday evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Martin. Now, Connor McAvoy spoke with volunteers as that count took place right here in Billings tonight.
It's a wonderful point in time for many reasons.
The point in time count occurs the last Thursday of every January in order to assess and determine the need for those who are unsheltered in Yellowstone County. Once data on those experiencing homelessness is done, it gets sent to the Department of Housing and Urban Development to look over.
It's really important that we get an accurate number for how many people are being counted, because if we have a higher number, then HUD is going to send more money to help with services that are directly helping this clientele.
Cody Christensen with the Downtown Billings Alliance organized dozens of volunteers going around Billings to talk with those needing help. Volunteer Lisa Harmon says the count also helps establish relationships with those in Yellowstone County who wouldn't normally ask for help.
Really allows us to go a little bit deeper and also be a little more relational with folks that are experiencing life on the street.
Christensen says housing availability can play a factor in how funding gets determined across the country, especially when many housing options don't take Section 8 vouchers.
There was a lot of funding that had to be returned because we didn't have the housing inventory here to utilize those vouchers. So it's important to see that kind of thing happening, because then we can figure out that we need to build more affordable housing in our community. It's just not there.
He hopes as the data gets collected, HUD will use it to better support the unhoused population in Billings and the rest of the county.
We have the funding available to put them in housing, but we don't have housing that's affordable.
I'm Connor McAvoy, Nonstop Local.
All right, Connor, thank you as always. Montanans walk with confidence, but when the weather turns icy, stumbles and falls become a real risk. Ren Wadsworth spent some time with medical professionals to learn about the critical consequences of falls and the best ways to help keep you upright.
Even in warming weather like this, there still remains pockets of ice and slick surfaces, and the potential for falls from anyone.
Visits to the ER significantly spike in the wintertime because of slips and falls, and we see anywhere from a little broken hip all the way up to severe life-threatening brain bleeds and in the ICU type injuries, and that's simply from running out to your car to grab something, coming in from the outside after shoveling or going to a store, those kind of deals. And so just a simple fall on the ground can end up being a big deal.
And Montana isn't alone. In 2021, the CDC reported nearly 7 million falls across the nation. Nearly 45,000 of those falls resulted in death, 234 of which happened in Montana. McKenzie does say there are many factors that can turn a small fall into an emergency call, including the use of medicines, the weather, and footwear. Dr. McKenzie also emphasized that those who are older are more at risk. He estimated that more than 20% of the elderly population that falls and breaks a hip will die within the year. So Dr. McKenzie suggests using railing and other assistance when it is needed, and stresses that staying physically active as you age is the best way to keep a fall from breaking you. Billings AMR also suggests keeping your walkways and driveways clear of snow and ice to prevent tripping and falling for outside the home, and to keep the inside of your home equally clean of clutter.
The older that we get, the more likely it is that there is going to be a fall that results in somebody, passing away. And so we want to make sure that we are providing the information, getting the knowledge out there that falls are serious. We don't want to have people that are suffering because of them.
One of the best ways to prevent falls anytime and anywhere is to move slow and steady. Ren Wadsworth, Nonstop Local.
Ren, thank you very much. We turn our attention to the forecast. Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith joining us right now. And as we head into the overnight hours, what can we expect weather-wise, Tracy?
Well, so far everything is looking rather quiet across much of the region, and we're expected to see some temperatures into the 20s and 30s out of Livingston and Cody. We could see a little bit of clear skies there out of the Livingston area that will drop those temperatures down into the upper 20s. Otherwise, out of central and eastern Montana, we're looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the upper 20s rising into the upper 30s out of Billings. And then, of course, it looks like we could see another night of fog developing in the eastern plains as well as northeastern Montana, and that fog will stick with us at least through 7 a.m. out of Miles City. And we'll have your full weather forecast coming up here shortly.
Tracy, thank you very much. We have some sad news to share from Wyoming tonight. The wife of Senator John Barrasso, Bobby Barrasso, passed away after a 2-year battle with brain cancer. Bobby, a Wyoming native, a former Senate staffer and chairperson of the Wyoming Symphony Orchestra Board, died at her home in Casper today. Senator John Barrasso released a statement saying in part, quote, "In addition to being a devoted wife and mother, Bobby was a leader, fierce advocate for Wyoming, and friend to everyone she met. We miss her dearly." Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon also gave a statement saying in part, quote, "She always put service ahead of self. As a compassionate soul, she advocated tirelessly for Wyoming children, education, mental health, and suicide prevention. She made a difference and has left an indelible legacy." Bobby Barrasso was born in Thermopolis on July 20th, 1953. She's survived by her husband, daughter, and a brother. Funeral services will be held February the 3rd at the Highland Park Community Church in Casper. The USDA recently awarded more than $2 million in funding to 10 different small businesses and agricultural producers throughout the Treasure State. Taylor Richardson spoke with the state director to learn more about the program and its impacts.
The Value-Added Producer Grant is designed to help grow the local agricultural economy and help small businesses create new products. The VAPG is one of the 70 different national programs run by the USDA Rural Development that intend to increase sustainability and economic growth within rural communities. A wide range of agricultural producers in Montana applied and received funding from the program that covers different expenses like packaging, transportation, and marketing.
These grants are one of those ways to help businesses start out, diversify their offering, diversify their income, save costs, and produce products that are sold both locally and in some cases nationally and beyond.
A couple of the local businesses that received the grants were Missoula-based Western Montana Growers Cooperative, which has 35 local producers who distribute various dairy products within 400 miles of Missoula. And then a woman-owned small business called Montana Branded Incorporated that raises cattle in Westby, Montana.
Part of the priority has been to really help with local food markets, local and regional sort of food ecosystems, and this is one way of doing that.
According to Williams, Montana has received some of the highest number of grants per state in recent years. In the past 3 fiscal years, Montanans have gotten 56 grants and received the second highest number of awards as a state in the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Applications for the 2024 grants are already being accepted, and the deadline to apply is in mid-April. From Nonstop Local News, I'm Taylor Richardson.
Taylor, thank you very much. Some exciting news from Fish, Wildlife, and Parks for anyone interested in checking out the famous Pictograph Cave State Park. FWP says that in February, they're going to have ranger-led walks every Saturday starting at 2 p.m. The walk is about 3/4 of a mile and takes about an hour. It's going to include detailed interpretations on the history and significance of the caves, with some pieces dating back almost 2,000 years. Here's the best part, folks. The tours are all going to be free to attend with no advance registration required. FWP does advise anyone who joins to dress in warm clothing, of course, and to be prepared for potential ice and snow along the trail. For more information, you can call Pictograph Cave State Park, the Visitor Center, 406-254-7342. All right, stick around after the break, on the other side of the break. Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith is going to have a look at your warm forecast. Then, full slate of high school basketball on deck tonight, including stops at Senior, Lockwood, Shepherd, and Park City. Good one out there. Catch all the action later in sports.
You're watching non-stop local weather.
Tonight we continue to see calm conditions, and in the Billings area we are looking at temperatures mostly into the upper 30s, partly cloudy skies, a beautiful full moon out there with winds coming in from the west at 11 miles per hour, and it feels like 32, so make sure that you are bundling up. It is going to get a little chilly tonight. As far as what we've got going on the satellite and radar, we are looking at dry conditions across the entire region, clouds building up in the eastern plains, and we're also looking at the possibility of fog developing as well. We do have another dense fog advisory that has been issued for northeastern Montana for visibility dropping down to 1/4 of a mile or less. This will take us through Friday at 11 a.m., but the fog will also impact areas like Miles City and along I-94. So we want to urge you to use some caution, especially as you're traveling tonight going into tomorrow morning. Temperatures right now are varying between the 20s and 30s, and we are expected to see those temperatures on the rise as we go through the next several days, staying well above average for this time of year, which is around 37 degrees. And we're going to be in the upper 40s, 50s by Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Tuesday, possibly low 60s moving into the forecast, putting us well above average for this time of year. Now, of course, as we move forward, we are going to also keep a close eye on the winds. Right now, you're looking at winds at around 25 miles per hour there at a Big Timber. We've been looking at wind gusts a little bit stronger, up to 34 miles per hour. If you're along the western foothills, we are intended to see some breezy to gusty winds as we go through that overnight period. Things are going to remain fairly similar to what we're seeing tonight as we track throughout the day on Friday, but by Saturday morning, winds are also expected to increase once again, and around 20 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts will be possible approaching in from the southwest. So that will impact us not only out of our western foothills, but in the south central Montana as well. And once again, that's going to be on Saturday. We are looking at dry conditions across the entire region as we go throughout the day on Friday, and remembering as we move into your Saturday forecast, you've got increasing winds and then even a slight chance of light rain, maybe even a couple of mountain snow flurries as we get into Saturday morning and afternoon. As far as your 7-day planner, you're going to notice those temperatures are going to be staying well above average for this time of year. Average is usually in the upper 30s out of Livingston, and we're going to be climbing up into the low 50s there by Sunday and Monday. Of course, out of Billings and Miles City, we are looking at the potential of 50s in the Billings area by Saturday, some fog hanging on as we move into tomorrow, and then those temperatures into the upper 40s, low 50s in the eastern plains by Sunday and Monday.
It's almost watching football on the patio weather this Sunday.
Could you believe it?
That's kind of, I mean, it's up there. It's going to be real bizarre if that trend continues. I know things are subject to change, but for the Super Bowl, I don't care where you live. No, watching the Super Bowl outside, unless you're in Florida or Texas, is probably not a real thing. But that's looking like it. All right, Tracy, thank you very much. Speaking of sports, we got that coming up with Spencer Martin on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everybody. In your health tonight, making healthy lifestyle changes is at the top of many people's to-do lists in the new year. If you're one of those people, here are 3 things to focus on to better your health in 2024. For healthy eating, Cleveland Clinic suggests the Mediterranean diet, which focuses on plant-based foods as well as lots of veggies, fruits, and whole grains. When it comes to exercise, strive to get at least 150 minutes of physical activity each week. Cleveland Clinic also says don't put your mental health on the back burner in 2024 either.
During the wintertime, with less sunlight, we tend to see something called seasonal affective disorder, where people tend to feel down more often during the wintertime. So if you're feeling that way, especially annually, it's important to talk to your healthcare provider.
Along with addressing questions about mental health, Dr. Goldman says your healthcare provider can also provide insight on exercise and dieting. In your money tonight, the U.S. economy grew at a faster than expected pace in December. That's according to new figures released by the Commerce Department. The country's gross domestic product, which actually measures goods and services produced, jumped by more than 3% last month, and most analysts predicted the figure would be much, much lower than that. In a statement from the White House, President Biden said wages, wealth, and employment are higher now than they were before the pandemic. That's good news for American families and American workers. Well, in Michigan, as the Detroit Lions gear up for Sunday's NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers, one fan is showing off unwavering confidence in his favorite team It's his permanent tattoo that proudly displays a particular prediction. WWJ's Gino Vici has this story.
I've never been more sure of anything in my life.
Alex Chapeska is so sure the Lions are winning the Super Bowl, he did this.
So I got this early August, a week before the first preseason game. I knew they were doing it. It's happening.
Before the playoffs, even before the 12 regular season wins, and yes, even before the season started, Chapeska tatted Lions Super Bowl champs 2024 on his arm and says the response?
Yeah, there's a few haters out there, but mostly everyone's been positive.
As you can imagine, he's gained more and more praise for his permanent prediction as the Lions keep winning.
The longer it goes, the more people have been on board.
Chapeska says again, as the tattoo reads, this Sunday, Lions win. And the Super Bowl, Lions win.
It feels like destiny now that it's our turn. It's the most exciting time I've ever had being a Lions fan.
Hey, best wishes, my guy. You know, it's good ink, at least. That's the nice part.
He sounds excited. 7-point underdog to San Francisco.
Hey, you know what?
Throwing that out
That's
there.
why they play the game, baby. That's why they play
Hey,
the
I
game.
think they have a great chance.
I think I would, well.
Not a tattoos chance, but.
Yeah, but man, I'd like to wish them the best. What's going on? You had an incredible night tonight.
We did. We had so much basketball
Yeah.
and went to a place we don't always get to enough, Park City, and it paid off. It was a great time. You know, this is a place where Park City's been Class C forever. This year, enrollment, they had to go up to Class B.
Yeah.
They were wondering if they would even be able to host home games because there was talk of crowd size. Would they be able to hold enough? Well, hey, those kids, they don't even talk about Class B. They don't care. They're just scrappy. They do their thing. And tonight they were taking on the undefeated Red Lodge Rams, one of the top teams in the state. And it was a heck of a game over there in the Panthers' den. Highlights from that one coming up next in sports.
Live from the Fireplace Center Sports Studio. This is SWX Nonstop Local Sports.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, as we mentioned, a busy night of basketball, and we start in Class B, where the Park City Panthers, new to the division this year, they're hanging tough. The boys are 7-4 thus far, and they had a tough test tonight against one of the top teams in the state, the unbeaten Red Lodge Rams. State title aspirations for those guys, and that little guy, best spot in the house. You go, second half is underway, and the Rams pound it in the paint. Thomas Buchanan off the glass, 12 points for him tonight. Rams up by 5. Then here come the Panthers, and more specifically, Mason Tilsey just hops and skips to the lane, plus the foul, and Park City goes on a run here in transition. Tilsey hits the corner three. He had 11 points in the third, a game-high 18 overall. The Panthers faithful loving it. They're up 3 entering the fourth quarter. Here's Red Lodge. They like to rebound and run, and that's a heck of a pass from Walker Boza, Owen Reynolds, and one. They were in business. But where some balls didn't bounce Red Lodge's way, really close around the cup tonight, they did for Park City. Fourth quarter tied at 46. Yeah, that drops in for Gage Witt from the top of the key. And the other brother from the Tilseys, Aiden Tilsey, had some huge baskets in the fourth. Tough one sweeping through the lane there. He added 12 tonight. So here we go, Rams down 3, one more chance. It's Bose at the buzzer, comes up short. Panthers hold off Red Lodge to hand the Rams their first loss of the year, 57-54.
It was amazing, great feeling. The team really worked hard together, and it just, great feeling. It's just good. We got to keep going. This isn't all of it. We got to look forward to the rest of the season, finish it out strong.
Exciting night in Park City. That said, let's have some more from Class B. Shepherd girls basketball is having a fantastic year. Phillies 10-2, and they had a tough test as well tonight at home. For those highlights, let's send things out to SWX's Caitlin McLean in Shepherd.
Both of these girls' teams have talked about their schedule being a factor early in the season. Columbus faced a lot of their tougher opponents right up front. Shepherd's has been a little bit more up and down in terms of how they've been challenged, but they do face a big challenge tonight, squaring off against one another. Shepherd down 29-12 at the half. They scored only 4 points in the opening quarter. Haley Dennison fights to the hoop. 15 points, their highest scoring quarter yet, but Paige Lethert fights her way through contact, 12 points tonight. Shepherd shooting better in the second half. Lexi Dennison from 3. They had 4 threes in the game, 3 of those in the second half, but Lethert follows it up with her own 3 from the corner. Columbus continues to roll. Caitlin Hamilton had 19 points in the 57-41 win. The guys were up next, and two teams with nearly opposite records, but Columbus gets the first points of the game midway through the first quarter. Mike Courts with the layup, but Shepherd forces a turnover, and they get the ball under control before they kick it out to the corner, and Cole McCann, he gets it to drop from three, and the Mustangs force timeout, up 6-3 with 4 minutes to play in the first quarter. They continue to shoot the ball well from three. Colby Kring this time, and Shepherd is rolling. Columbus takes a narrow 22-16 lead at the half. Cash Kramer from the key, but they get it going in the second half. Hayden Stephenson goes up and one. Cougars win it 45-28. From Shepherd, Caitlin McLean, SWX.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. Let's go to Class AA now. Bozeman boys have been the team to beat so far in Eastern AA. Perfect 10-0 record for them tonight. Hawks were in town taking on Senior High at the Palace by the Park. Bronx currently second in Eastern AA, along with four other teams, all 3-2 in conference play. Senior comes out strong in the first. Silas Watson knocks down the triple, then McLean Berkeley cross-court pass to Zach Woog, really slings over there. Bronx up 6. Bozeman answers a tough baseline three for Kellen Harrison. 18 points for him tonight to lead the Hawks, and they kept it going with Rocky Lencioni. Another triple for him early in the second, but this was just a 4-point game at halftime as the Bronx were done. Woog's nice outlet pass to Silas, who finishes the fast break for two. But then Bozeman shows why it's the state's top-ranked team right now out of the East. Harrison, the steal, up to Cash Embry. He tacked on 15 tonight for the Hawks. And then Harrison follows that up with a pull-up jumper on his own as Bozeman opens up in the third quarter. They roll the night 58-42. Final stop tonight is the Pride Lands Class A Classroom. Billings Central and the Lockwood Girls Lady Lions chasing first place. Billings Central 9-1 on the year. Annika Sturgar, nice crossover and jumper for her. Lockwood comes right back. They got the moves as well. Danny Jordan, nice layup around the cup, tightly contested out the first half. Coral Oldbull to Sturgar, adds 3 more to her total for the Rams, and this is Taylor Harris. You know, she can do a heck of a spin move for Harris, but this was shot of the night. It's Jordan, and again, we saw her get the tough layup down low. This one's shot clock is about to expire. She throws it up. We zoom on out. She buries it in through the cup. Lions up by 5 at halftime, but Rams end up pulling away 71-59. They're in charge right now of the Southeastern A Conference. That does it for a busy night of basketball. We'll be right back.
Tonight we are looking at pretty quiet conditions, watching out for areas of fog though in the eastern plains with overnight lows in the teens and 20s. Tomorrow temperatures will be very similar to what we've been seeing over the last couple of days as we continue to rise into the 30s and 40s for many areas.
Well, the famous Stanley Tumbler Cup craze continues. Their latest cup design sold out in just 30 minutes. A limited edition Lunar New Year themed Stanley Tumbler was launched today and featured a red and cream design with colorful scales in honor of the Year of the Dragon. But if you want to get your hands on one, you're going to have to wait until they get back in stock. You were not here when we talked about the lady who, would she have like 165?
Oh, the one who stole?
Yeah. Was that you?
No, but I may have thought about buying.
Are you a Stanley guy? Or are you?
I've seen a lot of Stanley Cups though for a suspiciously cheap price on Facebook Marketplace, and I saw that story and I thought, oh, probably a good thing I didn't get one.
Yeah. No, you
but I do have one.
I have one Stanley, but I'm really a fan of it.
I have 2. We like ours.
Okay.
Yeah, they're big and.
No. I mean, hey, good for you. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a water bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, it holds
I think that's all we have to say about that.
Yeah, we had a lot of time.
No big thoughts.
About nothing. All right, we'll see you on a finally Friday. A lot of good work today.
You too.
Oh, I was fishing for it. Thank you very much. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
everybody.
The team at Nonstop Local is working hard to live up to its commitment to you. Get new information and weather any time of the day. Plus breaking news as soon as it happens, all to your phone. Just visit nonstoplocal.com or download the app at Google Play or the Apple Store to get alerts to news as soon as we get it. Nonstop Local. We're on it.
Well, the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office reported that a body was discovered in the area of 3rd Avenue North and 9th Street North. Yellowstone County Sheriff Mike Linder says there is very limited information available, but Sheriff Linder did note that the cause of death and identity of the body will remain undetermined until after an autopsy has been performed. Of course, we'll keep you informed about any updates when they become available. Good Monday evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Martin. Tonight, Billings Police Department are also looking into the last known whereabouts of a 30-year-old man reported missing over the weekend. BPD says Jesse Lamar Johnson was last seen wearing blue jeans, a white t-shirt, blue sweatshirt, and white and blue Nike shoes. He is 6 feet tall, weighing about 170 pounds with a $sign tattoo near his left eye. We're told that there is concern for his safety because he has epilepsy. Anyone with information about Jesse's whereabouts is asked to contact BPD. They're dispatched, the number there on your screen. And 16-year-old Montez Other Medicine is still missing. On Friday, Billings Police and Bureau of Indian Affairs issued a missing endangered person advisory for the teen. The advisory has expired, but he has still not been found. Other Medicine is about 5'9" tall, 160 pounds with brown eyes and brown hair. There is concern for Other Medicine's well-being due to a history of mental health issues. Anyone with information about the teen's whereabouts is simply asked to call 911. We're going to turn our attention to the forecast. You see right there, Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith joining us to talk about what we can expect on a chilly evening after we had snow, we had sun. I don't know. It's a thing out there.
Well, tonight we're looking at pretty mild conditions. We've got partly to mostly cloudy skies on tap for areas like Livingston going into Cody. Temperatures are going to be varying mostly into the low to mid 20s, but warming up into the mid to upper 30s by 11 a.m. As we move more into central and eastern Montana, it's south central Montana that has the best chance to see some passing snow showers once again tomorrow morning. That will start to move in those early morning hours around 6 to 7 a.m., lasting as long as 11 a.m. Temperatures falling more into the teens, and in the eastern plains, while a little bit drier, temperatures are expected to fall into the single digits. And of course, we'll have more in your full weather forecast here in just a bit.
All right, we look forward to that, Tracy. Thank you very much. And millions of people started this week under the clouds of stormy weather. Blizzard warnings stretch across much of the central plains, which could continue into early Tuesday. Emily Schmidt has more on the season-swapping winter weather pushing spring to the sidelines.
This week, millions of people are watching winter show up out of bounds. Out of season, almost out of nowhere.
We had those 70-degree temps not too long ago. I thought that was pretty much it.
This ski area just outside of Minneapolis knows the cold truth of a so-called winterless winter, where only 11.1 inches of snow fell in December, January, and February.
19 winters of doing this. This is probably the most challenging winter I've seen in my experience.
Now Minneapolis's first week of spring is officially snowier than all of winter. It attracted an out-of-state snow removal company to test out the kind of snow not falling close to home.
We're not getting much snow this time of year. We decided we'd come up, help some friends out here.
The Minnesota State Patrol reported more than 460 crashes on the roads, while spring breakers pinned their hopes in the air.
I'm so excited. I hate the snow. I want the beach. I want the hot weather. We're ready to go.
The Northeast is recovering from its own storm. Central Maine Power says it fielded more than 770 emergency calls on Sunday after Saturday's ice storm impacted power to about 200,000 customers. The company vows work to restore power to everyone will continue, quote, round the clock. At least a clock can be counted on when the seasons seem all mixed up. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
All right, let's bring it back here to home. Tomorrow night, Huntley Project Schools will be hosting a public forum to discuss the potential implementation of a 4-day school week. This is actually the second session they've had on the topic, and the district says they're hoping for some insight and feedback from the community. That meeting happening at the Huntley Project Commons starting at 6 p.m. We did catch up with the district superintendent today to learn why the district is looking at this as an option.
This isn't an easy decision because there is still
like I said, that Friday, the concept of what school traditionally has been. And I think, last 2 or 3 years, 4 years, we've seen a myriad of issues and solutions and efforts and struggles and successes by school districts. And so, how do we continue to transition to the future by still holding on to some of those tenets of the past?
Ultimately, the decision to transition to a 4-day school week will come down to a school board vote. But again, Huntley Project is encouraging parents to make their opinions heard at that meeting tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Our Nonstop team has been taking some more time to examine the impacts of social media, how we can use it as a beneficial tool, and how to refrain from using it too much and maybe even too soon. Trevia Forte tells us more.
While covering this topic, we heard from communications professors, psychologists, and our viewers on the many ways families are approaching social media. Now, one common thing we've come across is the challenge people have in finding reliable and convenient tools they can use to protect their children from some of the dangers that come with social media usage. Now, while searching for possible helpful options, we spoke with TrueMe, a tech company that's offering an alternative to smartphones for children. Dr. Bill Brady, CEO of TrueMe, explains how their equipment works.
TrueMe is it's a safe phone for kids that helps them to develop digital safety and positive mental health. Well, that's what we're really concerned about, is giving kids everything they need without the garbage that they don't need, but still give them everything they need for school and listening to music and enjoying healthy hobbies and learning how to use technology effectively.
Now, Dr. Brady says TrueMe phones have fail-safes that make their parent restriction settings easier to set up and can gradually introduce certain content over time. He adds, in his experience, this progressive pattern has proven effective in breaking the norm of relying on phones to help bring a balance to the amount of time spent behind screens.
The phone shouldn't become the default for what we do with our time. Like, oh, I've got half an hour. Well, don't let the screen become the default for how you spend that time. Real life happens not on screens. And if we can introduce technology in a way that creates that paradigm, we'll be healthier for our whole lives.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about TrueMe and other tools and tactics we've learned about so far, and even other angles social media we've covered as well, you can check out our website, nonstoplocal.com. In studio, I'm Trevia Forte.
All right, Trevia, thank you very much for that. Today in the Magic City, the Billings Police Department welcomed 3 new officers to their ranks. Meet Officers Stritsky, Rudolph, and DeHaas. BPD says the 3 officers will train in-house the rest of this week before their 12 weeks of training at the Montana Law Enforcement Academy. And thank you very much for your dedication, your service. We appreciate it. We really, really do. All right, stick around, everybody. We're going to take a quick break right here, but on the other side of it, Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith will have a look at your extended forecast. And coming up tonight in sports, after a short but successful stop at Utah State, Helena native and former Bobcat coach and player Danny Sprinkle is off to Washington to coach the Huskies. That story later in sports.
You're watching Nonstop Local Weather.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we are looking at partly cloudy skies here in the Magic City, where your temperatures are falling more into the low 20s, and it feels like the mid-teens out there. Your winds are coming in from the east-northeast at about 5 miles per hour, and we're going to continue to see some of that cold air sticking with us tonight going into tomorrow. What we're seeing in the short term is pretty mild light conditions. You've got calm winds. You might see a couple of snow flurries. We do have a chance to see some scattered snow, though, developing as we get closer to Tuesday morning. morning. As far as your temperatures right now, we're already falling into the single digits above zero from Glasgow going into Circle, all the way into Sydney, down into Baker and Ekalaka. Teens kind of extending off of that, and we've got low 20s out of south central Montana, mid 20s and low 30s out of northern Wyoming. As far as what the temperatures are going to be doing in the next coming days, it does look like we're going to see temperatures a little on the increase. That'll get us through, well, Tuesday, where we're just talking temperatures still into the 20s in the eastern plains. You've got 30s, maybe 40s out of south central Montana. Then we move into Wednesday and we start to see temperatures even more on the rise, but winds increasing from the west and the southwest. So we're still watching out for breezy to gusty conditions impacting areas along our western foothills. And most of our winds to our west are going to be anywhere between 15 and about 35 miles per hour. So as we take a closer look at what's headed our way over the next 48-hour period, as I mentioned, going into Tuesday morning, we do have a chance to see some very light scattered snow showers that will impact the western portion of our region, going into south central Montana as well as northern Wyoming, as some of those temperatures increase into the 30s to low 40s out of south central Montana, like Billings, going into Cody. We are expected to see a couple areas of a wintry mix, so that's going to include rain and snow, drier in the eastern plains. And then as we move through Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning, most of your snow showers diminish across south central Montana and northern Wyoming, but we do have a couple of light snow showers working their way through northeastern Montana, heavy on the cloud cover, and remembering those winds are expected to pick up from the west and the southwest. That's going to impact most of our western foothills as we continue throughout much of the day on Wednesday. And most of Wednesday we are going to see dry conditions, but you might still have a couple of scattered light snow showers in our more mountainous areas. As far as how much snow are we slated to see over the next 24 hours? Maybe just a light dusting to 1 to 2 inches in some of our valleys. It's going to be some of those mountain peaks, though, that are slated to see a couple more inches. About 2 to 4 inches can be expected. As far as overnight lows, we are going to be dropping down into the single digits, both above and below zero, right along the far eastern border, the eastern plains. We've got low teens to upper teens out of south central Montana, extending into northern Wyoming. And as we move forward through the next couple of days, those temperatures are expected to be on the rise. We're pushing into the upper 40s to even low to mid 50s there out of Livingston and Cody as we track into Wednesday and Thursday, noticing a couple more chances of moisture throughout much of the work week going into the weekend. Out of Billings and Miles City, we're expected to see mid 40s in the eastern plains on Wednesday, rising into the mid 50s to low 60s by Thursday. A little bit of rain here in south central Montana and a possibility of more snow to come as we get into Saturday and Sunday.
Yo, my wife's about to go on spring break down to Florida. I'm about to like hop in her carry-on. Well, I mean, her carry-on. I don't think I'd fit, but maybe the check baggage, because it wouldn't be as bad. But we had that delightful 70-ish degree last week. Like this time last week, it was like super duper nice.
That's true. It's easier to handle the moisture when you know that spring is like spring-like temperatures are in the forecast.
No, it's still snow. It's dumb. I want rain. Anyway, what are you going to do about it? Stick around. Interesting news about psychedelics, like medicinal psychedelics, coming up on the other side of this break. Yeah, it's out there, man.
Oh.
Yeah, woo. Welcome back, everybody. Cleveland Clinic researchers are actively studying the use of psychedelics like mushrooms and LSD to treat certain mental health issues. And so far, the findings seem to show potential. Dr. Brian Barnett explains.
They seem to allow the brain to enter a state where it becomes more flexible, and it's easier for a period afterwards, possibly weeks to months, to learn new things. And so it's easier to make changes to how you view the world, how you view your interaction with the world. And also, it's easier if you are in therapy to actually take what you're learning in therapy and apply it in your everyday life.
Dr. Barnett says a lot of the research out there on psychedelics has centered around anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic disorder. However, more is starting to be done on how it could help with addiction. So, what does a typical treatment experience look like? Dr. Barnett says the length of treatment depends on the type of psychedelic used and the needs of the patient. Dr. Barnett says while research is ongoing, there has been some movement with a psychedelic called MDMA. It's expected to be approved by the FDA later this year to help with the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. In your Money Tonight, President Joe Biden released a plan last week to increase the supply of affordable housing, but his plan comes at a time when housing prices are high and continue to rise. Jen Sullivan looks at the president's proposal and whether it will help in this current housing market.
Housing prices continue to rise. The National Association of Realtors released their February numbers last week, which showed median home sale prices are at $384,500. That's 5.7% higher than this time last year. It's the 8th month in a row prices have gone up, and the price hikes are in all 4 regions of the U.S. It's something President Joe Biden wants to change.
Too many people that dream of having a good home, it still feels out of reach. I get it.
Experts say prices will likely remain high for now.
I don't think there will be any meaningful decline in home prices in many parts of the country.
It's not just high sticker prices making homes expensive. A 30-year fixed mortgage rate as of last Thursday was about 6.87%, according to Freddie Mac. There's also a high demand right now and low inventory, which drives up prices further. To help with those costs, Biden wants to give Americans an annual tax credit of $400 a month for the next 2 years to go toward their mortgage. He also wants to encourage more building so buyers and renters have more options. But some experts say the cost of land to build is still high.
It's not that the house is not affordable, it's that the land has very volatile economic cycle.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Well, a portion of a class action lawsuit filed by 10 former NFL players against the league is moving forward. As reported by The Athletic, the U.S. District Court in Maryland made the decision Thursday in a case regarding the NFL's disability plan. Last June, the league had originally filed for a motion to dismiss all claims against it made by the former players. The district court dismissed all but one, the denial of benefits claims that will proceed to trial. The 10 former players believe they are representing a larger group of players that are not receiving benefits but believe they should.
Big news in college basketball today. After just one season at Utah State, former Bobcat player and coach Danny Sprinkle is headed for Washington. We'll have that story coming up next in sports.
Fireplace Center Sports Studio. This is SWX Nonstop Local Sports.
And welcome back. For the first time in school history, the Lady Argos from Providence College will play for the NAI Women's National Basketball Championship tomorrow night. In Sioux City, Iowa tonight, it was an all-Frontier Conference semifinal with Providence facing the Fighting Saints from Carroll College. It was a close one from start to finish, but in the end, the Argos prevail as they take down Carroll 58-53. Ash Maldonado led the way for Providence, scoring a game-high 21 points. Jamie Pickens, 16 points, 16 rebounds for Carroll in the loss. Championship game tomorrow night in Sioux City. And there was some big basketball coaching news tonight after a very brief but very successful stint as the head coach of Utah State. Danny Sprinkle is already on to the next big thing. The former Bobcat player and coach was officially named the next head coach for the University of Washington today. The news initially reported by several media outlets and was confirmed by a Huskies press release this afternoon. 47-year-old Helena native coming off an historic first and only season at Utah State, where he led the Aggies to their first outright Mountain West Conference title in a decade, despite being picked to finish 9th in the preseason. Utah State also went on to win their first NCAA tournament game in over 20 years when the 8-seeded Aggies knocked off number 9 TCU in the first round. Their season, of course, came to a close yesterday with a second-round blowout loss at the hands of the number 1 overall seed Purdue. Sprinkle takes over to Washington from Mike Hopkins, who tallied an overall record of 118 wins to 106 losses during his 7-year tenure. Sprinkle played his high school basketball for the Helena High Bengals, was a 4-year starter for Montana State as a player, and of course coached there as well. Meanwhile, the college basketball season has come to a close for the Grizz down in Daytona Beach, Florida. Today, Arkansas State out of the Sun Belt Conference advancing into the College Basketball Invitational with the quarterfinal win over the Grizz. 74-61 was the final. Montana trailed by as many as 21 points in the second half. They closed it was in 7, but that's as close as they would get. Montana finishes the season with a 24-12 overall record. Red Wolves advance to the CBI semifinals. And finally, hey, it's never too early to talk baseball, and with temperatures hitting near 70 degrees last week, the Scarlets and Royals able to begin the season. Last summer, the Scarlets missed taking home the state trophy by a single run as they fell to the Helena Senators 2-1. That, of course, on the minds of returning players who say they're more than ready to close the deal this time around. Nonstop Local's Caitlin McLean has more with the Scarlets.
Absolutely, it's used as motivation. I know everybody here that was a returner last year hates to lose, and that was a big loss for us. And I think we're coming out here way more excited than ever, way more ready to work, and yeah, this will be a great season for us.
One run, that's brutal. That's a hard way to lose it. But I mean, everybody's goal here on our team is to win the state championship, and then probably the regional championship too. This is the best team we've had in a really long time, and I think that we can do a lot of good on this field.
Since the Scarlets host the regional tournament, they're in whether they win a state championship or not. However, part of what makes this one of their strongest groups yet is the leadership.
It's a veteran group, a lot of veteran group, a lot of leadership, guys showing up. I don't have to walk around the field and get after anybody to work hard. And it goes from the top to the bottom, the youngest 13-year-old player to the oldest 19-year-old player, and they push each other and they're working hard, and it makes my job easy and just a pleasure to be here by the way everybody's approaching it.
It's a tight-knit group that's been playing together since they were 9 years old. One of the only things maybe they disagree on is their superstitions. A chain for the player of the inning to wear and a totem pole named Joe Boo.
The chain is for, somebody has a great play in the infield that gets that, or a pitcher is dicing up on the mound, or, if somebody's batting, does a super good job, does their job on the hitting side of things, gets a double, whatever, brings them in. And then Joe Boo has been a huge superstition. I think the 2018 Scarlets brought him out one time and he got hit with a ball, and they did not play very well the rest of the season. But we brought him out a few years ago, and now he's kind of been like our good luck thing.
Joe Boo, I think it's all weird, but I guess that's what we do. We carry the totem pole around and worship it. It's really strange, but that is a Billings Scarlet thing.
Great to see baseball, American Legion baseball, just around the corner. That'll do it for sports. Back to wrap things up after this.
Tonight, we're expected to see temperatures falling into the single digits both above and below zero in the eastern plains. Otherwise, it's going to be teens across south central Montana and north central Wyoming. Moving into tomorrow, we do have a chance to see a couple of scattered light snow showers across south central Montana and northern Wyoming, where the temperatures are expected to rise into the 30s to low 40s, creating some areas of a wintry mix as we get more into the afternoon, while temperatures in the eastern plains continue to be on the cold side, only ranging between the low to upper 20s.
All right. Hey, the Western Heritage Center is inviting students from Yellowstone and Bighorn counties to participate in a contest which will explore the history of American Indian boarding schools through the theme Assimilation Through Education. So students will do their own research on a topic of their interest about American Indian boarding schools history nationally, statewide, or even personally. They will then display their research individually or in pairs to create a project in the form of a paper, website, piece of art, film, poem, or song. There are 2 divisions, 4th through 7th graders and 8th through 12th graders. First place winners from each division will receive $150. Second place will get $75 each. All participants will receive a complimentary family membership to the Western Heritage Center. For more information about the contest, you can visit ywhc.org. And there's a lot of really good stories, humbling stories, don't get me wrong, but a lot of really compelling stories that can be told. So this is a great inspiration to get out there.
Yeah, the Western Heritage Center always doing great things over there.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, and don't forget to check out their website, especially when it gets a little bit warmer. They have walking history tours around the city, and even if you've lived here for decades, you're going to learn something new. Truly fascinating. So check out the Western Heritage Center. All right, Tracy, words of wisdom.
Good night.
Love it. See you on a terrific Tuesday, everybody. Good, finally, Friday evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Martin. That is Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith to talk about what we can expect in the world of weather as we head into these overnight hours. Hey there, Tracy.
Yes, hi there, John. Throughout much of the day, we are tracking a couple of scattered showers and even mountain snow showers. We're still seeing a couple areas of light moisture, but overall it is going to be a quiet evening. As we take a closer look at some of your current conditions, we are going to be seeing temperatures anywhere between the low to mid 30s. And then, of course, if you have plans tomorrow, maybe going Easter egg hunting, we are expected to see some cloudy skies to get your days started, a chance of snow rolling in around noon, and make sure you're dressing warm because those temperatures are going to be a little chilly in the morning, in the upper 20s, only into the upper 30s by 2 p.m.
All right, Tracy, thank you very much. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says it is investing up to $22 million in partnerships that will expand access to conservation technical assistance for livestock producers and increase the use of conservation practices on grazing lands. Now, USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is accepting proposals through its Grazing Lands Conservation Initiative from right now until May the 26th. Now, this should increase knowledge and expertise in working with underserved producers to maximize their participation in new and existing grazing coalitions. Again, applications are now being accepted until May the 26th. For more information, you see it right there on your screen. You can visit grants.gov. The Department of Commerce's National Telecommunications and Information Administration announced today that the state of Montana can apply to receive about $7 million to provide folks with access to high-speed internet. The state can use the funding to begin the implementation of its digital equity plans. These plans will outline Montana's approach to empowering communities with equitable access and opportunities to adopt a high-speed internet connection. Now, for perspective, Montana currently ranks near the bottom of the national list for reliable high-speed internet. According to highspeedinternet.com, only Alaska and West Virginia have worse internet service out of 51 states and territories. In America tonight, Maryland is rushing to clean up the wreckage of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. As Jen Sullivan reports, it's a complex process, and the governor warns it will take time.
A massive cleanup effort is underway to remove the mangled remains of the Francis Scott Key Bridge from the top of a container ship in Baltimore Harbor.
This is a remarkably complex operation.
A ship hit the bridge early Tuesday, causing it to collapse, killing 6 construction workers. The disaster also shut down this vital shipping channel to vessel traffic. Baltimore processes more autos and light trucks than any other U.S. port in the U.S. It's also the leading port for farming and construction machinery, among other essential cargo.
Our economy depends on the Port of Baltimore, and the Port of Baltimore depends on vessel traffic.
The largest crane on the East Coast arrived near the scene on Friday. The governor says it can lift 1,000 tons of debris. But the weight of the bridge sitting on top of the cargo ship is between 3,000 to 4,000 tons, according to Moore. All that metal will need to be chopped into pieces and cleared before the vessel can be moved and the channel can be reopened.
This is a logistical challenge.
For now, ships are being rerouted to ports in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia.
It's too soon to say exactly how long it will be to clear the channel.
Meanwhile, the search and recovery effort for the 4 missing construction workers is still underway. Friday, fellow workers and advocates called for safety changes in the wake of the deadly tragedy.
I want to tell you with all my heart that we are with you.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Zoo Montana is going to be hosting an event tomorrow to spread some knowledge about bears with special guests Ozzie, George, and Willie the Grizzlies. The event is being co-hosted by Shields and Montana Fish, Wildlife and Park. It aims to teach people both the importance of bears and the many reasons to appreciate them. At the zoo, they're also going to be promoting bear safety while providing some tasty snacks from several different food trucks and from Flowers Bakery. And of course, while you're there, be sure to snap a few photos, maybe like this, of the zoo's grizzly family. Well, this time of year is for spring breaks for many college students, and many universities are taking the route of alternative community-based trips, encouraging students to learn ways that they can provide their service to the community. So MSUB arranged a similar 5-day educational trip to Colorado this spring break for their students to help them learn ways they can better serve the community right here in Billings. Well, students here connected with the LGBTQ Resource Center and various campus ministries in Boulder and in Denver to learn how those centers work in an urban area and how they can implement some of their ways to expand the resource centers at MSUB. Well, Dwight Welch, campus pastor of United Campus Ministry at MSUB, helped with planning this trip for students this year, and he shares what he thinks is the most important aspect of these alternative spring break trips.
I actually think the community building is probably the biggest thing, and they're memorable. I went on a college trip over 30 years ago, and we went to Portland, Oregon, and I was in my early 20s, and I remember it like yesterday. And I'm still friends with people 30 years later from that college experience. And so I hope that is a takeaway. It's something they'll always be able to remember back on and realize that they were a part of that moment together and learning something significant.
Very, very cool. And as we move further into spring, more of us will start thinking about how to prepare our gardens for flowers or produce. Well, for the second year, a free resource in Billings is helping people get started in their gardening ventures. Connor McAvoy tells us about the Billings Seed Library.
Planting season is just around the corner, which means greenhouses and garden houses are going to be open starting in April. And if you're interested in planting, there's one resource in Billings that's still relatively new, but is offering a space and option for people interested in taking up the activity.
You really can just browse through those drawers, find the packets you want to take home.
April will mark 2 years since the Billings Public Library began offering their Seed Library, which is a black filing cabinet on the second floor of the building. The Seed Library was started by community businesses who believe in the importance of growing plants. Anyone can come in, with or without a library card, and check out a number of different types of seeds for vegetables or flowers, just to name a few.
There's a little checkout form that you fill out, and you turn that into a librarian, and you can go on your way.
Assistant Director for the Billings Public Library, Kelsey Rubik, explains why this resource is so valuable to the people of Billings and surrounding areas.
The vision, I think, of the Billings Seed Library folks and the Master Gardeners is really to address food insecurity in our community and also to just spread the joy of being outdoors and gardening.
Rubik also says last planting season, hundreds of people checked out more than 4,000 seeds, and she hopes this season sees an even larger turnout as the library plans to have the program, much like their seeds, grow. I'm Connor McAvoy, Nonstop Local.
All right, Connor, very cool. Thank you so much for that. All right, everybody, we're going to take a break right now. On the other side of it, Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith will have a look at your extended forecast. And then spring football is underway in Bozeman. Plenty of new faces. The Montana State roster thanks in part to the transfer portal. Chris Byers has more on one transfer who could play a major role in the team's success this fall.
You're watching Nonstop Local Weather.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we are looking at partly cloudy skies, mostly quiet conditions here in the Magic City. Temperatures are falling more into the mid-30s and your wind speeds are coming in from the east-northeast at about 8 miles per hour. Now, of course, as we take a closer look at the satellite and radar, we're just seeing a couple pockets of light rain in southern Bighorn County, maybe a little bit of snow there out of the Pryor going into the Bighorn Mountains, and even just a little bit of that wintry mix right along I-90 just right outside of Big Timber. Make sure that you're using caution. Of course, anytime we see that kind of moisture in the late evening hours, that could lead to some slick road conditions. Otherwise, your winds continue to remain calm across much of the region. Your temperatures right now are dropping down into the 20s to even mid 30s, upper 30s to low 40s out of Sheridan going into Grable. Tonight, we're expected to see overnight lows falling more into the teens in the far eastern border of the region. And then, of course, we're looking at mostly upper 20s out of the Billings area. That does extend all the way into Livingston and Cody, low 30s out of Grable. And as far as what we've got going on in the days to come, it does look like temperatures are going to continue to be on the cooler side as we move throughout Saturday and Sunday. You may wake up to some areas of patchy fog out of south central Montana that will impact areas in eastern Montana as well. We're expected to see a couple of lingering snow showers out of north central areas. And then moving more into Saturday afternoon and evening, we're expected to see a low pressure system that will move in from the south. This will bring us some mountain snow across the Beartooth Absarokas into the Bighorn Mountains. Most of our rain showers, though, are pretty much holding off right along the Montana-Wyoming border. Now, that might reach up to the Billings area if you have any outdoor plans. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But so far, things are trending to be a little on the lighter side to kind of get us at the start of your afternoon. Going more into the evening, though, that will start to move up a little bit more. We're going to start the day off on Easter with some snow in the morning hours. And of course, as we continue throughout the afternoon and evening, most of that snow will turn over into rain. Still looking at most of our heavy accumulation over the mountains, impacting the Absarokas into the Bighorns as well. And this moisture will stick with us at least and through Monday morning. If you have any Easter plans, getting you ready for that early morning service at 6 a.m., we are looking at that chance of snow, and that will stick with us at least through noon. A chance of rain and snow as we get closer to 2. Notice that the temperatures are going to be on the cold side in the morning hours, so make sure that you're dressing appropriately. And we're going to remain into the 30s as we continue into the early afternoon as well. We are looking at a couple areas under a winter weather advisory, the Absarokas and the Bighorn Mountains. That will stick with us at least through 11 p.m. on Sunday for the Absarokas, and Monday at 6 a.m. mostly looking at 6 to 12, 6 to 14 inches of snow. Of course, as we move forward, we are going to be looking at that light chance of snow out of south central Montana, maybe a light dusting in the eastern plains. Our heavy snow accumulation is going to be impacting areas of high elevation. And with that, we are looking at your 7-day planner. Temperatures are going to be on the chilly side over the course of the weekend, but warming up rather nicely as we go into the start of next work week. We're back into the 50s and 60s. Another round of moisture moving in by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as temperatures start to cool down going into next weekend as well. So cooler conditions over Easter weekend. Potential for 60s, low 70s possibly here in the Billings area on Wednesday, and then that chance of moisture cooling things down as we round up the second half of next work week.
I mean, that's just an up and down right there still. I mean,
We're still on this roller coaster ride.
Yeah, I mean, it's for real spring, so that's to be expected, but it's
Right.
still like, 70, 48.
At least it gives us a little bit to look forward to, and then we get a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's all
we're
good.
right.
We're going to be just fine. Hey, stick around, everybody. On the other side of this break, we'll take a look at your health, and then Chris Byers has a look at your sports.
Download the Nonstop Local app for weather anytime. We're on it.
Welcome back, everybody. For the last 3 years, Cleveland Clinic researchers have been studying the possibility of repurposing a well-known drug called sildenafil for Alzheimer's disease. Now, there's more data to show that it actually could be effective. This is actually very exciting. For those unfamiliar, sildenafil is normally used to treat individuals with erectile dysfunction or high blood pressure. However, researchers have discovered that the drug could also be beneficial when it comes to preventing and possibly treating Alzheimer's. Based on what they found, sildenafil appears to lower levels of certain proteins in the brain, which are linked to Alzheimer's.
I think the next step we really work on together with our colleague physician here is to try to conduct the clinical trial.
Well, Dr. Chang says it's important to emphasize that while early research has been hopeful, people should not use this drug for Alzheimer's prevention purposes. In your money tonight, inflation ticked up last month, reversing recent progress. The Federal Reserve's preferred gauge, the Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, was up 2.5% for the 12 months that ended in February. Now, that's a faster pace than January's 2.4% increase. The Fed's goal is to get inflation down to 2%. Well, from an icon of baseball today to a rising star of tomorrow, teenage Japanese slugger Rintaro Sasaki is following in Ohtani's footsteps in a way that's very close to home. At just 18 years of age, Sasaki is a baseball phenomenon, hitting a record 140 home runs in high school. Sasaki's the #1 projected pick in Japan's professional baseball draft, but this slugger is foregoing all of it to go to Stanford, a decision his father, who's coached Ohtani and now his son, advised him to make.
I was a big kid in elementary school, so I used to wear hand-me-downs from Yusuke. Shohei-san also gave me a lot of baseball equipment to use, which I really appreciate. One day, I want to be playing on the same field as Ohtani and Sasaki. That's what's driving me.
In Japan, people tend to focus more on shortcomings, but in the US, they develop individuality. I think this is a very good choice for him.
And of course, practice, and more practice. Sasaki's dad says his son has a way to go before reaching the heights of Ohtani.
Spring football is underway over in Bozeman. And for Montana State, one player they got through the transfer portal hopes to provide big dividends for the Cats this fall as they begin the new season. That story up next in sports.
Live from the Fireplace Center Sports Studio. This is SWX Nonstop Local Sports.
And welcome back. Welcome to the weekend. The Sonny Holland Classic is now just a month away from Montana State. Spring football, the opportunity for fans to get their first look at incoming players from the transfer portal. One of those, Rohan Jones, the 6'3", 235-pound junior, comes to Bozeman from Maine University. They'd be looking to fill the void of star tight ends Derek Snell and Trayton Pickering lost to graduation. Although it's only been a few practices in full pads for the Cats, head coach Brent Vegan says Jones indeed passes the eye test.
Really like what Rohan's been able to demonstrate to this point. Yes, he's a physically imposing young man. First off, he looks the part. All of 6'2", 6'3", 230, 235 in that range, can really run. He showed good ball skills. He showed a willingness to be physical. He's still a work in progress, implementing him to our offense and all the things we're doing. But I think we, 4 days into practice, feel really good about the addition and what he's going to be able to immediately bring to this football team. Obviously at that position group, we lost two really good players to graduation, two different skill sets, and Rohan's skill set, I do think fills a void there for sure. He's wearing number 8, but he's not Derek Snell. You might mistake him for Derek Snell every once in a while when you look out on the field, but I do think he brings some similar things to the table, and time will tell. That's a high bar for Rohan to live up to, but I think we found a good one, and just who he is even as a person and that teammate, I've really enjoyed to this point.
The annual Sonny Holland Classic has a 2 p.m. kickoff set for Saturday, April the 20th. Montana State coming off another great season, ended with that overtime loss to North Dakota State in the second round of the FCS playoffs. You can tune in and watch the Bobcat spring game right here on SWX. Well, if you love extreme sports, tomorrow night indeed belongs to you at the First Interstate Bank Arena at Metro Park. Octane Addictions brings Big Air Bash to town tomorrow night, and with it, some of the most extreme jumps you will see. Bikes will launch 45 to 50 feet in the air. In the process, they'll throw in some back flips and all kinds of tricks. Now, the headliner for tomorrow night's show is Taga Higashino, 3-time gold medalist in the X Games, and many are calling him simply the best ever at his sport. He, along with 7 other freestyle athletes, on hand for this event. 7:30 tomorrow night, First Interstate Bank Arena. And finally, we turn to hockey, where the Helena Bighorns can call themselves national champions. Earlier this week, the team captured the North American 3 title, beating the Northeast Generals out of Attleboro, Massachusetts, to win the Fraser Cup. SWX Montana's Jack Marshall has the story from the capital city.
What's up, everyone? I'm at Steed Arena, home of the Helena Bighorns, who, after last weekend, can now proudly say they're the best team in the NA3HL. The Bighorns won the Fraser Cup, the championship trophy in the North American 3 Hockey League, for the first time ever last weekend.
Montana, rejoice!
Yeah, it feels good. Obviously, it feels, as a coach, it feels better to watch this group of guys be able to get to their ultimate goal. Since day one, the goal was to win a Fraser Cup.
It feels amazing. I mean, I've been here for 3 years, been working for the whole 3 years and just doing everything I can to improve myself. And this year we had the team and finally got the job done.
The team only lost 3 games all year, but in the Cup championship game against the Northeast Generals, the Bighorns found themselves trailing by 1 goal after 1 period.
No one was really nervous throughout any of those, and we all knew like we had the game in the bag, we were playing good, and we just had to find the back of the net, which we ended up doing.
After coming back to win 2-1, the Bighorns cemented their first trophy in the Fraser Cup after coming up short the last 2 years.
I'm so incredibly proud of this group of guys. Look, it's not about me. It's not about Alex. It wasn't about Theo. It's not about Mike or Jed. It's about the 27 guys that came here to Helena, Montana, to win.
Now that the team is back in Helena after a long bus ride from the tournament in Missouri, they were honored with a parade through the capital city's downtown. For SWX Montana, I'm Jack Marshall.
And a great win for the Helena Bighorns. That'll do it for sports. Have a great weekend, everyone. And we'll be back to wrap things up after this.
Tonight, we're expected to see partly to mostly cloudy skies, and there's also that opportunity that you might wake up to dense fog in the morning that will impact areas out of south central Montana and far eastern areas. We're also looking at overnight lows ranging anywhere between the upper teens to even low 30s. Now, tomorrow, we are expected to see the chance of moisture once again increasing in from the south. This will bring in some mountain snow and rain across areas to the south of I-90, I-94. You'll also notice that temperatures are going to be on the cooler side. We're really ranging anywhere between the low 30s to mid 40s. Now, we are also getting you ready for Easter, and it looks like we're expected to see some snow if you're headed out to your early Easter service. It looks like most of them might start at 6:30 in the morning for that sunrise service. So temperatures are going to be in the upper 20s, something to keep in mind. Only rising into the upper 30s around 2 p.m. Notice that chance of snow sticking with us through noon and then turning over to rain and snow as we get more into that 2 p.m. hour. Of course, when it comes to snow across much of the weekend, we are expected to see that chance increasing as we get into Sunday morning. Many areas across south central Montana into the southeast are just looking at a light dusting, maybe 1 to 2 inches, closer to 2 to 4 along our western foothills, and our heaviest amount of snow expected out of the Absarokas going into the Bighorn Mountains.
You can also celebrate the Lord at the comfort of your bed under a blanket. I mean, honestly, that's a good time. All right, so the Great North American Solar Eclipse, of course, coming on April 8th. We've talked about it a bunch. We're going to continue to talk about it. And while many people are excited for it, it's critical you use ISO certified glasses to avoid damaging those retinas. Luckily, you can get your hands on some free glasses at several chain stores. Starting Monday, you can get 2 pairs of glasses per family at Warby Parker locations nationwide. We don't have any here in Billings, but if you're speaking with someone, you can tell them about that. More than 400 My Eye Doctor locations are giving away a pair per person while supplies last as well. And Jenny's Ice Cream giving away 4 pairs with the purchase of 1 of 4 flavors that celebrate the eclipse. The offer is available online now and at its scoop shops nationwide beginning April 5th. Again, not really going to come through our area, but if you're speaking with someone who's in the path of totality or in that 90 to 99 percentile, you can tell them to get their stuff there, because that was the big deal. Was it 2017?
Yeah.
That was the last one where we couldn't find them, but it needs to have a ISO 123, 122. That's kind of what you're looking for to make sure that you're be careful when you're shopping online.
Yes. I mean, that's the last thing that you want to do is to go and enjoy an event and then notice that you have the wrong glasses and now you can't see.
And if you didn't know, if you're in totality, once again, not here in Billings, but if you're in totality, you can take off your glasses when it finally happens, and you're not going to like.
And that would be a nice treat.
Yeah. All right, everybody, that's it for us. We hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. A shout out to our guy Gideon.
Yes.
It's his last night producing for us. He's actually on his way back to Tennessee after this to kind of spend more time with his baby and his wife.
Right.
So we wish you all the best, my dude.
We're
Safe
gonna miss
travels.
you.
For the rest of you, we'll see you on Monday.